what's up, everybody? Greetings and welcome to Conflict Radio. Today is November 24th, 2021, and it is Thanksgiving Eve. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there listening to the show. Let me give a quick shout out to everybody that's in the house. If you want to get a shout out, go ahead and comment now. I see, let's see, Blue Chicken's here, Sapphire Elf is here, the Happy Plague Doctor is here. He's, I guess he's watching a documentary somewhere else. Maybe he can pop in and join us over here for a little while. Hugh Godarn is here. Mr. Fox, how you doing? Mr. Fox, thank you so much for the donation to the show you made earlier today. I was sitting down playing some games on my phone and seeing it come through. Thank you so much. Really do appreciate it. Remember, you can always find Conflict Radio on the Cash App. Just search for Conflict Radio if you want to donate to the show that way. David Ferguson, how you doing? Good to have you here. I see Mary Kay is here. Game Vet 02. Davy Jones Locker. We missed you last week, Davy, though I do think I asked your Sasquatch question even though you weren't here. Stefan Daejia is here. Walter Atkins, Chuck Bam, and I guess Oakland Raiders Trucker. Hello, I'm in Portland for a 34-hour reset. Finally, I'm able to catch a live feed. How you doing, Oakland? Oakland Raider Trucker is here. How you doing, man? All right. So today on the show, I wasn't going to do a show today, and I guess it was last week or maybe the week before. I'm not sure exactly when, but within the last couple weeks, I was out there doing my little Uber Lyft gig on the side and come across a guy that picked up on the side of the road somewhere and took him to his truck, and we got to chat in a little while, and I thought, you know what, why don't you come on my show and let's talk to you a little bit about what's going on in the trucking world. So today we've got Tacorys Henley is here. He currently lives in Huntsville, Alabama. He's originally from Birmingham. He's a husband and a father to his gorgeous wife, Daejia. Hang on while I clear my throat there. And his son, Carter. Trucking has been a part of his life since he was young. He saw his grandfather for the first time when he was 9, and he was in a 1995 International 9400i long nose. Tacorys has been hooked on trucking ever since. His father was also a trucker, and at the age of 21, he got his first shot at it when he enrolled in CDL school and completed the courses. He started his career with Schneider International. It was great until he had a breakdown in Georgia and had to call a tow truck company to tow him in. Soon after, he became a tow truck driver himself and towed everything under the sun. Tacorys gives a lot of credit to that tow truck company. It taught me more about the little things when it comes to trucking and load securement, he said. He felt his time as a tow truck driver was coming to an end when he realized trucking was a billion-dollar industry and decided he needed to get in on some of that money. That's when he started his own trucking company called TDC Logistics LLC, and ever since that time, he's felt like he's finally getting to the point of becoming a mogul in this industry and prays that everything works out. Tacorys, welcome to Conflict Radio, man. How are you today?
I'm doing fine, man. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
This is going to be a fun conversation because, we get so serious on this show sometimes that we forget all the little things that everybody does in this world to help, I guess, just the world spin, right? Like, you are a trucker, dude. Like, I mean, I couldn't even imagine what life would be like without truckers. Tell us a little bit about what it's like to be on the road, man.
Well, I mean, first off, being on the road, man, it's kind of hard, especially if you got family, being away and, just kind of ending up in certain places, certain areas that you really don't know about. But other than that, man, I mean, I love it, man. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I get up and start my week. Sometimes I kind of look forward to being in that sleep out alone, man, to kind of connect my thoughts and do things like that. So that part of it, man, is great. But then, you got the other part of the bull of being on the road, man. It kind of catches up with you after a while, and it's kind of frustrating sometimes.
All right. So let me take a second here and give a shout out to Project Gaming. He says, ouch, only a few folks in here so far, and you didn't shout me out. You all stay safe out on the road tonight. Project Gaming, how you doing? I can't see who's in here unless you comment on the in the feed, man. That's all there is to it. I can't if you guys don't comment, I don't know you're here. I guess that's just the way it is. I can't see who's viewing. I can only see who comments. So we'll go ahead and leave that there. Let me ask you this, man. You've been trucking for a long time. What did you do when I guess the nation shut down for this thing that we're all dealing with? I'll just call it a thing.
The thing, yeah.
For this thing that we're all dealing. When it first happened, what did you do? Did you get to go home for a couple weeks, or did you have to work?
Oh, hell no, man. I worked. I was tow truck drivers, man. We didn't stop, man. The trucking industry, period, it did not stop. It was they when I was at the tow truck service, they tried to make it seem like, business was slow, but it really wasn't, man. I was rocking and rolling every day through the whole situation with the thing that's going on right now. So I was rocking out pretty good.
I would imagine being a tow truck driver that you were doing that must have been the best time for repos, right? Everybody's at home.
Man, believe it or not, man, the company that we worked for, we mainly specialize in like the heavier side of things. So like repos really weren't our thing, but we had like steady customers. So I was, down in Birmingham, they got this spot called Dead Man's Curve. So I spent a lot of time in that curve during the pandemic, man. It was, over a span of 4 or 5 months, I was there at least once a week doing something out there.
Let me ask you this. Were you scared at first?
Doing the towing or?
No, I mean when the whole thing went down with the thing.
Nah, honestly, man, I really wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous, because I looked at it like it was the situation with the Spanish flu. They created a whole ruckus in America, and then you look up 20 years later, nobody really knows anything about the Spanish flu no more. So I kind of figured that it was kind of like that with, every presidency. They had the what was it, the swine flu, and then they had the bird flu, and now you ask somebody about it now, they can't even tell you about it. So that's how I kind of looked at this thing right here.
All right. Well, I guess that was pretty optimistic, man. You must be a pretty optimistic guy. You got your own company going now. How?
Yeah.
Now, I basically what that means is that you own your own truck, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. So, what is it like driving one of these things, man? Me and you were chatting a little bit while we were on the road doing our little thing before, but this is like 50 freaking gears, right?
Yeah. So what I got, man, I have a 13-speed transmission, man. So, to a person that never been in the truck and they think it's like, 13 gears that you have to shift in, man, but it's really not. But really driving a truck to me, it's just like I'm driving an airplane with wheels on it. That's how I feel with it, man, because, my truck's loaded down, bro. I got refrigerators, a microwave, a TV, beds and all that good stuff. And I got, kind of sort of some home-like amenities. And when I describe it to anybody, I just tell them it's just like driving an airplane.
All right. Well, I think that the scariest thing for me in it would be, I've thought about driving truck, most of my life,
you should.
I kind of got my own thing going now, but I'm old now, but if you're young, it might be a cool thing to get into. You get to travel around and see all the country.
Yeah, man. Honestly, man, with being young, man, like that's the best time I tell, anybody to get into it. Get in it while you're young, while you don't have any responsibilities to the world, to yourself, and just go see as much of this country as you possibly can, because once you start to have that family, the will to see the country dwindles down, and it's just like you want to spend more time with your family. So if you've never been to New York, go ahead and go to New York. Or if you've never been to Wyoming, go on out there to Wyoming and see it at least before you, decide not to no more.
So how many states have you not been to?
I think I haven't been to Maine, Vermont, Idaho, and I feel like Delaware. But other than that, I've been to almost every one of them.
You had to have gone through Delaware. Have you ever gone up 95 in New Jersey?
No, not from the 95 side. Nah, that's the
Oh
only way I
well,
didn't
then
miss it. I come
maybe
in.
you've missed it. If you're never going in that way
Yeah,
through the 95 side, you can miss Delaware, and even then, you only hit it like for like 15 minutes.
yeah, man, and that's crazy, man. Because I went to Jersey. Matter of fact, that week that you picked me up, man, I had just got back in from Endicott, New York, but I had to go up through Jersey, and I didn't realize that I was on like 22 miles from Staten Island from where I was in Jersey, and I thought that was kind of wild, man. That I was just like, right there, man.
Yeah, some fascinating journeys I'm sure you've taken. All right, so let's get into it, man. Tell me some of the craziest stuff you've experienced out there on the road.
Um, all right. Florida, man. Like, that old saying where they say the craziest people live in Florida and Brooklyn and all that good stuff. So, and it's kind of sort of explicit. I really don't want to say too much, but every single time I go to Florida, man, I always see some guy driving and some girl in the passenger seat. And, you pretty much can kind of put together what happens there, man. And it's crazy, man. I see, women flashing me all the time.
Does that happen a lot?
Oh, man, it happens all the time. Like,
Seriously?
it's all the time, man. Like, at least twice a month, at least. It's usually in Florida, and it's usually on 20 going into Georgia or coming out of Georgia. I always get, like, I done seen all types of, different style of boobs and stuff, man.
All right. I remember being a kid, and I would sit in the back of my parents' car, like doing the little truck horn thing, trying to get you guys to honk. Do you see that a lot?
Man, honestly, nah. I really don't, and it's crazy because I come through some of these, countryest towns I could possibly come through, and man, I see kids standing out there, but they all got their phones in their hands, man. And I just blow right past them. No kid, do the arm thing or nothing, man. I actually get more middle-aged women doing it than the kids doing it now. So
really,
yeah,
they're just sitting down there on their phones.
Yeah, they just sitting there at the bus stops, or they might be at the little, like, sitting on a park bench or something, and I just blow right past them, and I make it known that I'm coming, and just to, see their reaction, because I kind of look forward to it too, but they never do anything. They just sit on their phones, man, and just watch me pass right by.
If that doesn't tell you about society today and these
Oh,
smartphones, I think they're destroying us.
Yeah. Oh yeah, man, I believe it wholeheartedly, man.
They are. I think every parent needs to just rip these smartphones out of their kid's hand. You wanna give your kid a cell phone? Give your kid a stupid flip phone from the early '90s.
Something they ain't got no internet connection to.
Just this is ridiculous. Phone. This is ridiculous. People, get your kids off this stuff. I mean, they should be out there playing games and trying to get truckers to honk their horns. All right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we are kind of I guess we talk about all things here on Conflict Radio, but we do talk about paranormal stuff quite a lot. UFOs and aliens and Bigfoots and stuff like that. Have you ever seen anything out there on the road that, I mean, you had to have been in some places, man, where you just stop for a minute, you get out, you look up, and you just see the sky all over the place.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen anything weird out there?
The weirdest thing, man, I was team driving with a company a few maybe about a year or so ago, man. Me and one of my buddies, Mike, we was out in New Mexico, and we had to stop at a hotel, and the lady at the desk, she was like, hey, don't stray too far away from the room. It's coyotes out here. So, me, I'm one of the guys where I'm just like, I ain't gonna worry about it till I see it. But my buddy, he was kind of worried about it, man. So we had to go across the street to this Mexican restaurant to get some food. And we were over there, and I can just hear, like, just the patter of a feet. And I wasn't thinking nothing of it. And he just kind of asked me, he was like, man, you hear that? And I was like, yeah. And I turned around, and I can hear it, do the little, I guess, a little breath, like it's on its way, like it's tired or something like that. And I heard it, and I looked, and I turned around, but I didn't see nothing. Then, we shined our cell phone lights, but we never seen nothing. But we kept hearing the pattern and stuff. And, we just kind of like bolted over there. We was like, nah, man, we ain't even finna eat out here, man. We're in the middle of nowhere in the desert. If something was to happen to us, when nobody know nothing about it. So we get to the room, and the next day we getting up and leaving, and I think he was in a sleeper sleep, but I saw like, I'm assuming a deer or something, and it was just like ripped wide open. Like whatever ate it was like huge, but it was in the same parking lot as us where we were the night before. So I don't know what exactly that was that, got to it, but it was something that had a little size on it. And out there, they only talk about coyotes, and I don't know coyotes to be that big, man, because whatever did this to that deer, man, it was like, nah, I can't, we were scared about that.
And where was this exactly?
This was New Mexico. I can't remember exactly where, but I know we were on the Arizona line of New Mexico. So it was like, I guess the next town over from when you get out of Arizona into New Mexico. So whichever town that was, that's where we were.
All right. So what's the life of well, it seems like I don't want to jump around too much. So let me stay into the paranormal topic for a little bit. What about like UFOs or aliens? Have you ever seen anything out there in the sky?
I thought I did once down in Florida. It could have been a shooting star. It could have been, an airplane or something. But I thought I did, and it kind of threw me for a loop because I was like, because it moved fast, and I knew, certain shooting stars, they move kind of fast, but this, it kind of moved a little faster than, I was used to seeing out there in that area. But every time I go into Florida, if I look in the skies, man, I always see something going, something crazy going on up there, like whether it's a couple of shooting stars or, the moon looking a little darker than usual, but, all clear open skies. But to me, Florida, man, it's usually the area where some crazy stuff, you may see something that makes you think twice. Like maybe that was that, or maybe it wasn't that.
And that's Florida.
Yeah, that's Florida. Yeah.
All right. And any other crazy stories you could tell us? You ever what about, let me ask you this. Do they have like trucker rivalries?
At first I did, doing the tow truck thing, we had a couple of little rivals, down that way. But out here, it's really like the Wild Wild West, especially if you own your truck or you working to own your truck. It's like the Wild Wild West, man. So like you may pull up at a truck stop, man, and park for the night and wake up the next morning and you missing, straps or tarps or, things like that. Because, nowadays it just seems like truckers, man, the owners, man, they taking things. So you kind of got to be wary of that, man. You get a lot of little trucker violence and stuff like that, man. You get into the mix a little bit, especially because you want to, protect your stuff. But that's some of the wildest, stuff that goes on now with trucking.
What about like truck stops and stuff? I think that was always a big deal for me. I mean, thinking about when I was younger, having to park at a truck stop to sleep or whatever, I'm watching these guys back these things up into these tiny spots with like 5 inches on each side, and I'm thinking there's no way I'm backing up this huge freaking truck at a truck stop just to even get some sleep. I mean,
oh man, I love it. I love getting the tight spots, man, because that's the spot where I know don't nobody want it, and I know I always look for that tight spot whenever I get there, because sometimes I run, into the middle of the night and it's hard to find truck parking and stuff. But man, I love them type spots, man, because I can get in there. But like I said, with the tow truck company, they kind of, gave me, little techniques, and I ran a 50-ton wrecker, so that's like a step below a rotator in the tow truck world. So, the rotator is like Megatron in the tow truck world. So with that 50-ton wrecker, man, I used to have to back, my truck up and the 18-wheeler up in a spot. So doing this right here, that's kind of like a cakewalk, just backing that up, because I used to be responsible for the truck and the trailer when backing it up. So, parking now is like a cakewalk, man, but sometimes I, yell at some of the rookie drivers because they take too long, man. They do that get out and look, bullshit. And I just kind of, I'm impatient because I've been there for a little bit. So I know how to set up and whip in there real fast. So, that's where a lot of my really frustration come into that, because I'm like, man, just get in the spot. Like, damn, it's not that hard. Just get in there. So.
All right. So what could I would imagine driving sometimes, in traffic or in certain situations, it could be real chaotic, right? Like you've got
Yeah,
millions of things going on. You're trying to pay attention to at once, like especially when the traffic's going. I mean, because you're driving a lot of weight. I mean, God forbid something happens. I mean, this is a freaking semi. You kill somebody with it, right?
yeah, man. You could take them out of the game real fast.
Right? They're not playing no more. Game over. You know, it's done.
Yeah.
What are things that people can do in cars that would be helpful to truck drivers?
Honestly, man, just give us our space. Um, it seems like nobody wants to cut nobody off until you got a trucker. When the trucker comes into play, you get everybody. They just swinging into the front of the trucker, man, and just smashing on the brakes and all that stuff, man. And I want people to understand, like, hey, we're grossing 80,000, and that's the minimum. You got some truckers out here that haul the oversized stuff, so they're grossing 150, almost, close to 200K, and weight wise, and it takes them a lot longer to stop. And then also, just to let some people know that all truckers are not the nice truckers. Some truckers not gonna be nice enough to let you over. Like, you got a trucker like me where I pay a pretty good amount in insurance. So I hate to say it, if you try to cut me off, then I don't wish it, but you ain't going to your destination that day. You might go tomorrow, but man, you're gonna be on the side of the road having a conversation with a state trooper and some insurances.
Do you have a dash cam up in your car? Or
Yes.
I guess it's a rig, right?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's a rig, man. It's a rig. But yeah, we got a dash cam in there.
What about CB radios? You guys still use them?
Yeah, I mean, I do. Me personally, I do. But nowadays, the newer guys and the I guess this newer generation of trucker, I guess they phasing out the CBs, man, and it sucks because that was part of the reason why I wanted to kind of get into trucking. I seen my granddad, he had his little, trucker handle out there. And I was like, man, I want to make my own. The CB is an essential part of trucking.
What channel you normally keep it on?
Channel 19. I think that's the universal channel for everybody.
All right, 19. There you go, everybody. Channel 19 on the CB radio. Now, do you have a lot of the, I guess, Smokey and the Bandit type stuff out there now? Like you get a lot of warnings from people that there's a Smokey up ahead or anything like that?
Yeah. Man, we get them a lot of times. Like, you get a lot of guys, they'll flash the brake lights at you and stuff, but then sometimes, you'll get that occasional trucker that get on and say, hey, you got one up here in the median, or, whatever the case may be, man. I got a buddy of mine who's down in Birmingham. He usually shoot a text message out to everybody to kind of let people know if he passes one and say, hey, driver, coming up 20-mile marker, 220, you got a bear in the corner type deal. So he kind of give everybody a heads up before we get there.
Have you ever heard any stories of anybody like driving their car like underneath a trailer? I mean, does that work? Does that happen?
Oh yeah, man. Like I said, the tow truck company I work for, man, I seen a lot of the crazy, wrecks. But being out here, I seen some crazy things, man. I want to say about 6 months ago, I saw, I think it was a van, but it could have been a two-door Cavalier, but I just saw the 18 wheeler just sitting on top of it, just sitting there, and it was just smashed up and crushed. And I knew the person who was in that driver's seat. I knew they didn't make it. Man, I knew that's only because, they probably was going too fast and weren't paying attention to the trucker in front of them. So
yeah, I meant like driving a small car, like a I guess a Smokey and the Bandit type car, like how they kind of go underneath the trailer to move into the other lane or something,
I saw one guy, man. I saw one guy up in Ohio. Well, I was coming out of Pennsylvania into Ohio, and I saw one guy, man, and I bullshit you not. He was in front of me, and it was a 2-lane highway. He was in front of me. We were in the right lane, and I don't know how it happened, but I was beside another truck, and that truck started to pass me. So I get over, and next thing I know, I see the car swing over, and I don't see it for at least 2 seconds. And the next thing I know, I see it comes out again, and then it goes in front of the truck, and it's just like swinging back and forth and back and forth. And then a couple other guys got on the CB and was like, hey, did that car go in the trailer? And everybody was wondering it, but I think it did. But then you got that, that one person that said, nah, I didn't go up under the trailer. Y'all seeing stuff. But I think that car did, because I think it was like a Acura or something, man. It was super low to the ground. Like it was scrubbing the undercarriage. So it had to go up under that trailer.
I mean, I've seen videos on YouTube or whatnot where it's actually been done. So I know it can be done. It can be done. I wouldn't want to do it.
Nah, that's a dangerous game to play, man.
Yeah.
I would not want to do that one. I do a lot of things in life, but not that, man. Nah.
Yeah, Chuck Bam is saying that that was a movie stunt. No, I've actually seen it. I've seen it done as well. So it does happen out there, man. But boy, I'm not going to do it.
Nah.
You gotta wonder, man. Some people are just crazy, right?
Yeah, man.
Especially in their cars. Man,
yeah, they bad shit, man.
I used to be when I was younger, but man, I don't know. Like I guess I've gotten hurt a lot with crazy stuff I've done. So now when I think of doing something crazy, I'm like, well, that'll really freaking hurt if I mess that up. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna do that. I kind of like my arms or fingers or something.
Yeah, right. Man, it was weird. I had the same complex when I was, a little younger. I was quick to kind of break something, because I think, 5 summers straight, I didn't go back to school without something broken, whether it's broken ankle, broken arm, broken wrist, or whatever the case may be. And then now I just sit there and like, maybe I shouldn't walk down them 3 steps, man. I might slip up and hurt myself.
Yeah, I guess we kind of been shooting the shit here for a little bit, but I do want to talk to you about some serious stuff tonight. Yeah. And that's this, I guess we call it the cure on our show. And I spoke to you before we went live, so you understand what the cure is. Do you think that this mandated cure is going to affect how many truckers we have out there?
Honestly, I would say no. Just for the simple fact, the media says we're down 80,000 drivers anyway. So I feel like it won't affect, unless you like maybe FedEx or UPS or something like that, where they make it, mandatory for all employees, including, the warehouse workers and the front desk workers to get it. So I think they'll just include the truck drivers in that. But I feel like other companies that's not, dealing with those type things, I don't foresee it being an issue at all.
All right. I mean, a lot of truckers, I would imagine, are kind of like you. They're independent contractors. You don't have more than 100 employees, and the people that hire you, well, they don't care, whatever you do, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, they don't care, man. As long as you don't, send their insurance sky high if you're on their insurance, or miss a load, but they don't care at all.
All right. So what's going on with this? I guess this problem in the ports. I mean, have you been, all right, first off, have you been to a port to pick up a load?
Yes, I went, I want to say maybe about 2 months before it became, like a big thing. And about 2 months ago, before it hit the, media outlets about what was going on. The last time I was there, I was actually in the Virginia ports down in, I want to say either Suffolk, I think it was. I was down there, and it was kind of hectic there. Like I spent the whole day trying to get a load off of my back. So, but I was hearing, little rumblings about certain things that was going on. And I kind of sort of knew about what the situation was out in California, because it made it all the way to the ports down there in Suffolk, Virginia. So I kind of knew what was happening. And
so tell us what's happening.
Basically, the gist of I can get from it is, they don't want you to have a truck that's a 2012 or older, and then you have to have at least 4 to 5 trucks in your fleet for them to let you, go on the port to get it. And here recently, I just been hearing things about guys having to be at least 25 to even get into the port to get a load. Now, I don't know how true it is, but in the truck stops, you kind of hear different things. And I heard about some guys saying how he waited like 3 days at a port in California just to get a load to bang it all the way across country to New York. And then you hear him talking about the pay for it. And now it's like, oh, man, a lot of guys want to go out there to get the pay. But when you get out there, you're going to sit there for at least 3 days, based off what he told me about the port situation. But I also hear little things like majority of the stuff that's supposed to, be flooded out through America is on those containers. So like they was talking about, different gifts and different Black Friday sales and things like that was going to kind of be a little tight because most of the stuff was on those 80,000 containers or 100,000 containers that's just floating out in the middle of the ocean.
So it might be an increase in regulation of the trucks that they're actually allowing in the ports, right?
Yeah.
Like you have to have more than 5 trucks in your fleet, so that rules you out. You can't pick anything up from there, right?
Yeah, nah, it rules me all the way out.
You have to be 25 years old. Why would that even matter?
That's one of the things that bugs me. I don't know, because they, it seems like the CDL world, they just fluctuate with age, man, because they, now they're teaching 18-year-olds and giving 18-year-olds their CDLs now. And, so it's like, I guess that's just the day that they say, oh, it's going to be 25 today. And then tomorrow they might drop it back down to like 21. So it's all a hit and miss. It's just, I guess, what they ready to do.
Yeah, I don't know. I find it's a little scary to me to think of an 18-year-old person out there driving a CDL truck. But I mean, honestly, I try to think about it in the way like, I mean, we can send an 18-year-old to war, right?
Yeah.
So why not let them drive a truck?
Exactly.
I mean, I get it. Like, well, an 18-year-old. Well, then why aren't we like, oh my God, an 18-year-old out there fighting our war?
Exactly.
I mean, that's stupid too. I mean, maybe we should raise. I mean, if you think that way about trucking, then maybe you should stand for. You shouldn't be able to join the military until you're 21, or you shouldn't be able to vote until you're 21.
Exactly.
Like that.
And my stance with that, I talk about it all the time. My stance is 25, man, and that's for everything. That's for buying tobacco. That's for buying alcohol. That's for driving trucks. That's for going to war. My stance is 25. In my opinion, 25 is a mature age for anybody. And then also at 25, who knows, you could have had kids. You could have had something to kind of, carry on your name. And speaking on the war aspect, because if you go to war, there's no guarantee you're coming back. But at least by 25, you may have your kid or two to kind of carry on your bloodline. So, I'm big on one for all. So if we'll let, 18-year-old go to war, then I guess you got to let that 18-year-old out here and drive a truck.
Yeah, I mean, that's just the reality of it. So, I don't know. I just think about some of the stuff I did when I was 18 years old, and I probably didn't have the best head on my shoulders when I was that age. Yeah. That's for sure. I wasn't worried about too much of anything.
Oh yeah, exactly. Me either, man. I can't remember what I was thinking about at 18, man, to be honest.
So what do you think's gonna? I mean, are you guys making more money now that the gas prices are raised, or are you guys eating it?
That's a tough thing, because you got a lot of guys that's getting into trucking because they hear about the money some drivers been making. But the thing with that, it's kind of hurting some of the guys that's already in trucking, because you'll get a guy that'll take a load from, let's just say, Birmingham to Laredo, Texas for $1,400. That's a 1,600-mile run. And if you, kind of doing the math, that's like less than $1 per mile. So, by the time you get to Laredo, you're going to spend that money probably in fuel, depending on how heavy it is. So, when you get 10 drivers that'll take that load for that, well, the guys that know a little bit more and say, hey, that Laredo run is a $3,600 run. Well, the brokers are going to say, well, I had 10 guys do it for 14. The price is 14. So now you put some guys that used to a certain number that they getting in a bind to say, all right, well, I'm not going to get this load. They just going to keep giving it to the guys that are taking for less, because like I said, just last year, a lot of people was making maybe $600 or $700 every 2 weeks. And then when you get into trucking, you're making that $600-700 every week. So anything over that they looking at it as a great thing, but it's actually hurting everybody else because we're not really making no money off the price of the load sometimes.
All right, so let's talk about that a little bit. I mean, if I wanted to hire you to haul a semi trailer from, let's say here we are in Huntsville, Alabama,
Okay.
and I want to send it all the way to Los Angeles, say, what would that cost me? What would you charge me for that? Does it matter how much the trailer weighs?
Nah, me, no. So basically, the way I kind of set myself up is I need to do something that's going to make me $1,500 per day. That's in my pocket. So if I'm going to leave from Huntsville to California, that's usually let's just say maybe 4 days, a 4-day trip out, 4-day trip back. So I factor in all of that and saying, all right, if I need $1,500 a day, so I need $1,500 for Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that's about what, 6-7 grand or somewhere up in there. Then I would turn around and ask for $75,000 to $8,000 for that run, so I can make sure I got my fuel covered. If I have to hit any tolls, my tolls covered. Fuel, because fuel fluctuates in prices in different areas of the country you go in. So I kind of factor all that in. So like I said, for me to go from Huntsville to Los Angeles, I need at least $8,000 at least.
All right. And it doesn't matter what it weighs.
Nah, it doesn't matter what it weighs. It could, weigh up to 47,000 is the max that I can haul with my truck. But with California, you got to be at least around 40 coming in. So I can't haul anything over 40,000 pounds because that's the law with California out there. So I know, I can do it that way, and that'll be perfect.
All right. Well, that's pretty interesting, man. I don't have any idea what it costs to run trailers or whatnot across the country. So you're saying about $1,500 a day, but you also have expenses like your truck payment and your insurance and your all kinds of stuff that you have to have on top of it, right?
Yes. So that's what that 1,500 is factor in with all that. To fill up my truck, if I have to fill up every day, that's at least $600 right there for me to fill up. And then with the gas prices that's going in, like I said, they fluctuate in different areas of the country. So I might fill up in Mississippi for $500, but go out to Oklahoma and fill up for $700. So I have to factor all that in. And then I like to factor in like tolls. So my major toll place that I would hit would be Pennsylvania. So I got hit for like $330 in tolls about a month ago. So I factor that in. Then I factor in if I need a tire. So a tire is $450 for one tire. So I factor that in. And then at that point, I would reach my profit, which I would like to see, $250 for that day for me to, if I need to eat or whatever the case may be. So when it's all said and done, that $1,500 is factored in my everyday expenses and truck payments and all that stuff. So that's why I would, my goal is to get $1,500 a day.
All right. Well, I mean, if I can get $1,500 a day on YouTube, that'd be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah, man, that'd be good.
Respect the law, bandit. Distorted Reality says. All right. So, a lot of times when I'm driving at nighttime and a truck is passing me or a truck's getting on the interstate or something where I'm at or whatever, like, when they put their blinker on, I'll turn my lights off and on, right? To kind of to let them know that it's clear. Is that a real thing that people do? I notice every time I do that, they'll like give me some weird light sign on the back of the truck. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's if we're behind you and we give you that light signal, that's just, letting you know, come on over here, get in. And then what a lot of people may not pay attention to truckers, but if a trucker's in front of you and you see his brake lights flash a couple of times, that's basically him saying, thank you for letting me over type deal. And I know I've been in the car with my wife a couple of times and the trucker's done us like that. And she would slam on her brakes and, like start to fuss. I'm like, what are you slamming on your brakes for? And I'd be like, baby, just telling you thank you for, letting him on the interstate. Because, you could have not let him on the interstate and it would have made his night a little bit bad. And she was like, oh, okay, all right, cool. Well, but like I said, that's just the universal sign, man. Truckers use lights and all that stuff for different things, man. You just gotta know, what the situation is. They can flash their lights to let you know that you got a bear in the median, or they can flash their lights to let you know deers are out, or they can tap the brake light to let you know, hey, I'm about to slow down because traffic is backing up. I think the four ways is the one that lets you know traffic is backing up. So if you see a truck on the interstate with four ways on, that means he can see something that you can't see, and you might need to slow down.
All right. Well, that's another thing you have to take into account. I mean, you guys are sitting probably 3 car lengths or 3 cars tall, higher
Yeah.
than a normal driver. So I'm sure that the view from up there must be incredible.
Oh yeah, man, it's incredible, man. Like I said, I can see on a clear stretch of highway with no other truck in front of me. I can see at least a mile and a half to 2 miles up the road easily, man. And then it's perfect when you hit the countryside. You got a lot of mountains, you got a lot of different things you can see, and you up a little bit higher, and you can see, like, sometimes I see little caves and stuff way off in the distance. You can kind of see the little opening for them and stuff like that. So it's really helpful to be up higher than everybody.
So what's it like in really bad weather? Have you ever been in really bad weather,
Oh
or
man,
even seen a tornado for that matter?
yes, yes. My wife and my dad, man. My dad, he's like a weatherman, and I never forget it. A few weeks ago, I was in Dallas, and I don't know how it happened or where it happened. I still got the screenshot of the tornado. Um, I stopped about 10 miles before the tornado was supposed to come through. Stopped like 10 miles before. And then the next morning I got up and it actually came back down the same direction. And I was on the other side of it. And when I was I think I was in Kansas, or maybe, oh, no, I was in Omaha, Nebraska. Yeah, I was in Omaha, Nebraska. And off in the distance, I can see the clouds. It's like black and gray. And I'm just looking and looking and looking. And I see a tornado like off in the distance, just spinning. And I thought it was the coolest thing. But they didn't shut the area down at all. They just let the area just be wide open. And you turn it on to the little weather alert. And they basically just, kind of tell you, hey, just keep moving. It's going to fizzle out. And I didn't realize that in open plains like that, a lot of the tornadoes, they just fizzle out and just basically dissolve, like in the middle of nowhere.
All right. You and I, when we were out there doing our thing in the Uber the other day, I took you to your truck, and you had I guess it was a flatbed trailer.
Yeah.
The load that you were carrying that day, it was a flatbed trailer, and it had this humongous rolled coil on it, right? Like those.
Oh yeah.
Like those. I don't know if I'm trying to. You want to tell people what that is?
A coil is the best way that I can describe it to a basic person is like taking your toilet tissue roll and turning it sideways with the two openings on the outside. But just imagine that about 1,000 times bigger and about 1,000,000 times heavier. Like that's the best way that I can describe a coil to anybody.
Yeah, and for anybody that's still, it's kind of a giant spool, right? It's a spool, like a spool of thread, but this has like massive amount of weight on it, right? And you were holding one of these things because of the weight.
Yeah.
It was a giant round spool. Just so I'm trying to I guess give a visual of it. And you said that you had it on the way that those things are tied to the flatbed trailer. It's called a suicide something, right? Why don't you tell me about that?
The way they have to sit it on the trailer in the truck, and where we call them suicides. And then if you turn it the other way, like sideways, we call that a shotgun. So the way that I had it that night is a suicide. And call me crazy, but that's my favorite way to haul them. It sucks because if, a chain breaks and it's just coming forward, like straight forward, that's why they call it a suicide, because if anything happens, it's only coming towards your cab and you're not going to survive. And that day I was legal. I think that coil was like 50,000 pounds, but I was staying in the state. So I didn't really have to worry about weigh stations or nothing like that. So that car was pretty big, so it would have anything would have happened, it would have caused a lot of damage to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, and that's the one thing that we don't understand about the trucking world, and that's kind of opened up our conversation. Like, oh my god,
Mm-hmm.
like let me get you on the show because
Yeah.
I had no idea that these things were rigged that way. So if the spool is going to come off the trailer, the only way possible for the thing to come off is for it to go forward and through the cab. That's just that's incredible, and oh my god, I couldn't even, and honestly, that's the safest thing for everybody else, right? That like, it's not safe for you, but it's the safest thing for everybody else. And man, that I never knew you guys put yourself in situations like that. So,
oh yeah, man, all the time, man. Believe it or not, though, with the I'm going to say the fear behind suicide calls, people they over secure it, and you got some guys that understand what can happen, and you got some guys that do not know what can happen. So then you'll see an older guy, that particular call, I threw about 8 chains on it and 2 straps, but you may get a guy that don't really understand the weight and the dynamics of what he's hauling, and you get an older guy like myself or somebody else to say, hey young man, throw another chain on there, throw another strap on there, this might save your life. And sometimes you be in areas, you'll be riding down the highway and you'll see calls, like you'll see cabs and you'll see stuff just messed up, and you sit there and you just think like, dang, if he only just put one more chain on there, he probably, be alive, or that probably wouldn't have happened to him.
Wow. I mean, that's just that's crazy. You see a lot of loads that'll shift up and take the driver out. Does that happen a lot?
Oh yeah, man. Believe it or not, the number one thing is not the coil, it's actually lumber. Lumber is the thing that flies through your cab quicker than the coil will.
Yeah, and I would imagine I've seen I've been to North Carolina, and I've seen some wrecks with logging trucks out there.
Yeah.
And man, nothing scares me more than a logging truck. If I see a logging truck coming down the road or at me or near me, I don't want nothing to do with a logging truck.
Oh right? Man, blame Final Destination, man. You got a lot of people in this world.
I was scared to death of logging trucks long before that movie ever came out.
Yeah.
Right. Logging trucks are just not my thing. Have you ever driven a log? A whole load of logs?
I almost did. Right when I got my CDL, I almost took a job doing that, but then at the last second, I was like, nah, I don't want to deal with that. Like, nah. So I never got the chance to haul anything like that. I want to, but if the opportunity arrives, I will take it. But if it don't, I'm not gonna go out there and search for it.
All right. So let me ask you this: you own your own trucking. You own your own trucking company. You own your own truck.
Yes, sir.
You make your own rules. You're the boss, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Do you pick up hitchhikers or no?
Oh no, hell no. Nah, man, I don't do it, man. I'm gonna be honest, man. I listen to this podcast called Crime Junkies, and I do not. I mean, I would never pick up a hitchhiker, but it's like magnified now. Like, I won't even make eye contact with a hitchhiker, man, because I don't even want them to even think I will. I don't want to give them false hope and saying that I might pick them up, because I know I'm not.
Do you ever get people that bug you at truck stops? Like, hey, are you going here? Are you going there?
Not really at the truck stop. You mainly get guys, people that'll say like, hey, my car's out of gas, or can I borrow one of your shower credits or something like that. You rarely, this day and age, you rarely get a person saying, hey, can you, run me here or run me there.
What about the infamous truck stop girls? Is that a real thing?
You see them here and there. But I think now the age of technology kind of just weeded them out. Because, you see a lot of the older women walking around and, you know what they're there for. But now I think it's more websites out here for truckers to kind of get a little lucky than just to do the hand-to-hand with the lot lizards, what we call them lot lizards out there. So I think they kind of kind of phasing out. But I hear like certain areas in the country still big. Like I think Memphis is pretty big. Atlanta, I think, and a couple of places maybe up north, like maybe the Gary, Indiana area. So I think they pretty kind of still got the girls that kind of walk the lots out there.
Really? Atlanta, Memphis, and Indiana.
Yeah, Gary, Indiana. Yeah.
Gary, Indiana. So there you go, guys. Head on down to your local truck stop in Atlanta, Memphis, or Gary, Indiana, and get yourself I guess I learned a new word, lot lizard.
Oh man, that's the first time hearing that one. That one been around for years.
Well, I'm not a trucker, man. I don't know.
Yeah, it's one, man. I tell you, man, bullshit or not. I was in Missouri. I was in Kansas City, Missouri, and I had my CB on, and this guy, he gets on, and he sounded like the guy from Joyride. You know, the guy that'd be like candy cane, candy cane. He sounded like that guy, and he goes, "Yeah, it's a little orphan out here looking for a dad." And you know, I'm kind of like, "What? Like, what does that mean?" And another guy gets on and was like, "Oh, you know, that was the wrong orphanage. That wasn't really her dad. That was just his best friend." And I'm sitting there, I'm like, what are they talking about? So I get up and I just kind of sit up and just look around. And I kind of look for the guys that look like they were talking on their CBs. And I see this one guy over in the corner. And I was like, okay, if he's talking about what I think he's talking about, let me see if I see somebody kind of floating around. And I ended up seeing this girl. She just walking. As she's walking, he's talking about, oh, she found another family. And I guess the truck she went in had a woman in there with the male driver. And lo and behold, she gets in there and she's in there for a little while and she gets out and then she goes back. And then the guy gets on there and he's like, well, I guess the orphan found her somewhere to sleep tonight. And that's what let me know he was talking about a lot lizard. He called her orphan. Oof. Yeah, it's crazy terminology out here.
Do you think like you see a lot of human trafficking out there?
Sometimes, yeah. You kind of, when you see it in certain areas that they say is kind of dominant in, you look at a younger girl a little bit harder to kind of see if that's what's possibly happening. You kind of look for certain cars and look for certain people that kind of you kind of think it, but you never really know it. And sometimes you want to help somebody in that situation, but you can't really say, hey, I think you've been sex trafficked, let me save you. You just don't really know. So
are there things that you're trained to look out for?
I'm not gonna necessarily say trained to look out for, but just growing up, you can kind of see certain things and notice certain things that's kind of out of the ordinary that I ain't gonna say a normal person would miss, but a person that wasn't so much as being in the inner city would miss. So like you would kind of see if she's barefooted or something like that, or she has like a little smaller purse and she's kind of trying to make a beeline for the restroom, or just even the clothes, the type style of hair, different things like that. You kind of look at it and say, okay, all right, cool. She's barefooted. That means she left her shoes in somebody's car and they drove off, or, whatever the case may be, and she needs shoes. Or if she got this worried look on her face, then, she may possibly be scared of, what could happen to her. So, but like I said, you never really know, because everybody got different looks on their faces, these days. It ain't no really one look to say, hey, this person's being sex trafficked, or you can say this person, it just got gas. You just need to go to the restroom type deal.
Have you ever seen a load or driven a load that you've been questionable about, like not just with trafficking, but with other things, like other goods that are dispersed throughout the country that are illegal?
Oh yeah. Oh man, yeah. This actually goes back to when I was with the tow truck company. This one particular guy, he called. He just bought a car from the scrapyard, which had no wheels, no nothing, and it wasn't even a vintage car. It was just like a random car, And I thought it was weird that he wanted the car to go to this specific place. And he followed me to that place, and we got there, and I get there, and it's like 3 or 4 little trailers out there. And he was like, oh yeah, I wanted, down there beside that trailer, and getting the unloading it. And he goes, I left some in your seat for you. that's for you. That's for doing this job right now. I was like, oh man, I'm thinking it's a tip or something. And no bullshit. He left like maybe an ounce of cocaine in my seat with like $200, like just sitting there. He's like, yeah, that's for you. Thank you. And when I let the car down, he took a tarp and threw a tarp over the car and just kind of like put some stakes down in the ground and kind of keep it down. And he made a phone call and he just stood by the car. And he didn't have a car. He rode with me there. I guess that was his car. He just stood there. He just waited. And I literally, man, just drove down the highway and just grabbed an ounce of cocaine and just tossed it out the window. Like I ain't even had nothing to do with it. I kept the money, but I tossed the cocaine out the window.
I wouldn't have done that.
My dad, man, it's funny, man. My dad told me, he was like, man, why'd you do that? You could have brought that to me, man. Like, come on, I could have made some more money off of that. You have to toss
I wouldn't have done that. I'm old, but I've had fun in my life.
Yeah, man.
All right. So let me give a shout out to everybody. We've got a ton of people in here hanging out. I see Vash has finally joined us. AJK, how you doing? Pablo Zoluga is here. Man, there's a ton of people in here listening. Let me go ahead and throw out there. True Caliber, I see is just now questioning. If you guys have a question, go ahead and throw it in the chat room, and let's get to some asking some of the questions. I suppose if you guys have any questions, because I mean that's where look. It's Thanksgiving. We're having a good time. I guess I've got to do a whole bunch of stuff. I got to cook tomorrow. I've got a huge dead turkey in my sink right now.
Oh, man.
So, Davy Jones, he has a question here, but let me ask you guys to give a thumbs up if you can. It does help with the algorithm, get more people in here. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel if you haven't. And you're Tacorys, you're a new Conflict subscriber, aren't you?
Oh yeah, man. I just I subscribed. Really, honestly, the night you told me about it, as soon as I looked you up, I hit subscribe, and then that following Monday, man, I listened to a couple of shows that following Monday. So I be digging it, man. I like to run early in the morning, so I get up around 2 a.m. and I start rolling. So by 5:30, I listen to at least maybe 2-3, different one of your episodes.
All right. So anybody, if you guys, I mean, we're not only talking to a trucker, but he's also a subscriber and a fan of the show. I mean, you're enjoying it, right? You're having a good time. You enjoying Conflict Radio. We've got the greatest questions that always come in for these guys. So hit it up, guys. We got a trucker on. We're having it. Whatever the question may be, throw it out there. I mean, if you've ever seen a truck do something and you're not sure what it did, ask. Let's get your questions out there. All right, and it seems like we've had some questions here already. Distorted Reality wants to know: are people stealing hydraulics off of trucks?
No. That's too much, man. That takes a lot of time to steal some hydraulics off a truck, man. They usually try to get the quick stuff, stuff they can grab and go. Especially with, you never know if the trucker is sleeping in his truck or not. So you usually kind of want to be as quiet as possible when you're trying to swipe something, man.
So what are they taking?
They're taking basically anything that's an eye, like your tarps. Like most truck drivers, they leave their tarps on the back of their trucks or on their trailers and stuff like that. So it's nothing to take a pocket knife, cut the bungees, boom, you got you a tarp. And what's crazy about it, and I hate to say it, but I'm about to advertise for a lot of truckers getting robbed, is if you got a little 4x4, 4-foot drop tarp, that's usually going to sell for about $450. And the bigger the tarp, the longer the tarp, the more money you can get. So I got 2 tarps right now. Well, actually, I got 6 tarps total. I spent about $3,000 on all 6 of my tarps total. I spent $3,000 on them. So if that kind of tells you what type of equipment we got rocking out, and the price range of some of this stuff, why it's so valuable, that's why, man. Like it's you pay a lot of money for this stuff.
I never knew that was so much money.
Yeah, man. See, these are not those little Walmart tarps. Like, nah, man. These tarps. I got lumber tarps, which a piece, my lumber tarps weigh about 175 pounds a piece. Then I got my coil tarps, which there's like, 20 pounds, not, nothing too heavy. I got my steel plate tarps, which are about 70 to 75 pounds. And I just got one random long tarp, and that one is like 125 pounds. So these things, that the heavier they are, that means they're going to be more sturdier. So, they're going to go up on the price on them.
Yeah, I guess that's the easiest thing to take, right? Like if you're, I mean, it's not like you're going to come out to your semi one day and it's up on blocks and all your wheels are gone.
Yeah, nah, nah, man, that's not going to happen.
Has that ever happened ever?
Not being stolen, but I've seen a couple of truck drivers that kind of get messed over by these companies. So they would be, in the truck stop selling. Like they'll say, "Hey man, I got such and such for sale. Do you need anything?" But you run across an owner op like me. If a guy was to walk up to me tomorrow and say, "Hey, I got 2 tires for sale. How much you selling for?" $200, a piece. I'm not gonna argue with you. If I see you taking them off your truck, then so be it. They finna go on my truck. So I've seen that happen a lot, where people would sell stuff off of the trucks just to, make some money or get back home or whatever the case may be.
Yeah, well, I mean, especially if it's not their truck, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. All right, Davy Jones Locker says, "What's the dirtiest and roughest city you've ever been to?"
Dirtiest and roughest.
Or do you have one for each? Do you have the dirtiest and then roughest?
All right, the dirtiest truck stop I ever went to was the Pilot in Gary, Indiana. That was the dirtiest one. And the roughest one I went to is the TA. I think it's off. Now that's the Pilot in Boulder Crest, Atlanta. That is the roughest one I possibly went to because, shoot, I think when I parked, it was police there. I went to sleep and woke up in the middle of the night. It was police there. When I got ready to leave that morning, it was the ambulance, the police, and all bunch of people. I think somebody ended up getting murdered out there or something like that. So that was probably the roughest one I've been to. That one there.
Everybody's agreeing with you. I see Mr. Fox says, "Gary, Indiana, LOL. That place sounds amazing." And then HAK says, "Gary, Indiana, Indiana sucks."
Yeah, it does, man. That whole area sucks, man. And it's you don't get no good food there. Then I think the last time I ate something out of a truck stop in Gary, Indiana, I felt like I had food poisoning, to be honest, because I threw up like 2 days straight, man. It was bad. It was rough. But then
Tyrese Lockett says, "So proud of you, my boy. Keep it up."
Oh man, that's my boy. That's the one I told you about that sends out text messages and Facebook messages about if you see a state trooper or not. That's my boy Tyrese. Yeah.
All right, there you go. The Happy Plague Doctor wants to know: do truckers have any superstitions?
Yeah. I'm not gonna speak for all truckers, but for me, is the seatbelt. I don't wear a seatbelt, which I should, but if I just for accidentally put a seatbelt on, then the rest of that day I'm wearing a seatbelt. Like I'm not taking it off or none of that, because I see some guys, they'll throw a seatbelt on to get through the scale house. Well, if I throw a seatbelt on to get through a scale house, then I'm wearing that seatbelt, all day, because superstition is the minute you stop wearing it, something's going to happen. So whatever I start my day off, seatbelt or no seatbelt, that's how I'm going to do it the rest of the day.
All right. Sapphire Elf says, "Do you feel like more rail line infrastructure would benefit the trucking industry with movement of goods, maybe shorter trips, better hours?" What do you think of rail? I mean, do you think we should have more rail or less rail or?
I think it should stay where it is, because if you add more rail, then that kind of puts a damper on my pockets, and my wife, she ain't gonna like a damper on my pockets, man. So I'm gonna say less rail, so that means more freight being pushed across the interstates, to where we can, the guys that's out here really trying to make it, they can keep their money, make more money instead of losing money.
Yeah, Sapphire Elf. So I guess that answers your question. More rail would definitely not be beneficial to the trucking industry, of course, right? That's just less work.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. John Clark wants to know, is it true that truck stops along the East Coast are now limiting how much fuel you may pump?
I'm going to say no, because I was just out in New Jersey about a week or so ago. So I guess you can consider that to be the East Coast. And I was in the, Jacksonville area and all that stuff. So, I mean, they was letting us fill up just fine. I don't think that's a problem yet over their way.
All right. AJK says, do you think you ever seen a ghost on the side of the road?
A ghost deer, yeah. Like,
A ghost
you see a
deer?
yeah, you see it in the distance, you see it laying down, and then right as you get up on it, it gets up and sprints out into the, middle of the highway, and you can see, the blood and all that good stuff because, it just got hit. So I'm going to say yeah, because it probably wasn't all the way dead, or it's probably halfway dead. So I'm going to say yeah, I see the little ghost deer out there.
So you've hit deer then?
Yeah, I hit it. Yeah, man. I tore a deer up, man. It was in South Alabama where I did this at, but it was like a couple of years ago. So now, man, I don't even fool around with deer.
Well, I mean, you're in a massive size truck. I mean, if you see any kind of animal, you just gotta run it over, right? I mean, you're not gonna swerve out of the way.
The companies, they tell you to not swerve out of the way. But, a lot of guys that's been doing it for a while, they kind of quick with looking in the mirrors and looking at the deer and kind of judging time and distance to say, okay, all right, I can maneuver this way and still be all right, and, not swerve too far off the road or whatever the case may be. But I tell anybody, you do not want to hit a deer. I don't care. In my opinion, if you're on a 2-lane road, just don't swerve to the left, and you won't hit the car, over there. I'd rather, put it in the ditch than to actually hit a deer, because there's a chance you may not do too much damage putting it in the ditch versus just hitting that deer square on.
Why is that? What? I mean,
because if you run off in the ditch, you have a chance to kind of, go off and then just slowly flatten out, and you just kind of gradually go off the side, versus if you hit the deer, then, you're going to mess up your headlights, your grill, your bumper. Depending on if it's like one of them big bucks, it may knock your axle from up under your front steering axle, and then you're still going to end up in the ditch because it's just going to, shift you wherever you go. People don't realize, man, deer can really do some damage. Like, they can do some damage to your whole truck, and, man, your business will probably be over before it even started if a deer gets in front of them headlights of yours.
All right. Pablo New Zulaga says, would bars in the front of the rig help that?
Yes, but you gotta, they call them cattle guards. So I've seen some that's like football helmet style, and then I've seen some that's not quite as big, and sometimes you still, get that little damage, but them cattle guards, they help a lot. I'm actually in the start of the year, I'm gonna put a cattle guard on front of mine and change my bumper around and kind of get a tougher bumper going. So that's gonna be a good idea. I'm glad he said that.
All right. Some interesting questions coming in, but we'll get to them. Tacorys Henley says, question, how much do you love your younger brother?
Oh, man. I love my bro, man. I be trying to school him, but he don't want to listen, man. Just give him a shout out. He just became a firefighter, so congrats on that, little bro.
All right, Jamari, welcome to the firefighter world, man. I tried doing that. I couldn't handle the car accidents. They made me sick,
man.
I
ain't seen nothing yet.
No, I mean, yeah, they had me throwing up all over the place. I couldn't deal with it. I loved grabbing a hose and running. I'll grab a hose and run in and fight a fire, any fire. I run in that house and fight that fire. But man, when it comes to the car accidents, I just I couldn't handle it. Distorted Reality wants to know: have you ever been on shrooms while driving across the country?
Nah, man. It's a drug-free zone, man. Say no to drugs, everybody. Say no to drugs.
All right. Rabbi Sandy says, what's the craziest thing you've seen on the road?
I seen 2 fat guys fighting on the side of the highway. And one, I'm going to assume, didn't have any underwear, or he just wore like some shorts that was his skin tone. But they was going at it in the ditch on the side of the highway. They was big, huge guys, man. Like, both of them should have been in them little wheelchairs, because they should have been on that show. That's how big they were. That was one of the wildest things I seen on the road.
All right. Oakland Raider trucker says no drugs allowed. Distorted. LOL. John Ballot says, or Ballot John says, truck stops only 60 gallons of fuel to trucks. Is that true? So, I guess we covered this before. You're saying no, or did you?
Yeah, that's a no, man. That's a big no, man. If they did that, it would be an outrage in the trucking industry, because I think most truckers got 125 gallon tanks with 2 tanks, so that's about 250 gallons. And if we only can put 60 in there, man, we won't even make it up the road half the time.
All right. All right, True Caliber wants to know, can you get away with smoking weed as a trucker if it's on your downtime?
I know a lot of truckers that smoke weed. I can, I'm not gonna put nobody out there, but I know I know some tricks to the trade. I know some of the things that they tell me they get away with. But the one thing one of my buddies always tell me, stay ready so you won't have to get ready. And that's a lot of implications at what he means with that. So he kind of, he's one of the guys I know that still do it to this day, that don't even hesitate with it, man. He could be driving his truck and he just would, fire one up. So
yeah, I wouldn't want anybody out there driving a big rig smoking weed. But I mean, if they just got home and they're sitting with their wife and they're in for a couple days, I don't think that's any of our business.
Yeah, exactly, man. That's my stance on it.
All right. Davy Jones Locker says, do you have any good road rage stories?
Oh yeah, man. Well, I ain't gonna say this road rage. I'm gonna say this fuel island rage. Well, no, I have a road rage. I actually had to pull my pistol on the guy in Atlanta. Like, anytime I have crazy road rage incidents, it's usually in Atlanta. But this particular time, it was about 3 a.m. in Texas, and some guy parked at the fuel island, and he stayed parked at the fuel island for like an hour and a half. And it came just short of throwing blows because the cops showed up, and it was about to be like some crazy stuff because I had to get a load, and he was kind of stopping me from getting that load. But it was, just the principle, like, don't park in a fuel island, because other people need fuel. So sometimes I kind of hate when people do that. So that wasn't a good morning for him. I'll put it to you like that. Especially the cops had to be called. That wasn't a good morning.
All right. Anywhere like you'd have some Karen lady or something like throwing stuff at you, anything like that? Did anybody ever throw anything at you?
Yeah, I was in Cofield, North Carolina, and I was coming down this random little highway, man. I had to pee really bad, man. So I just took an old Powerade bottle and dumped the stuff out of it. And then, I used the bottle, and then I didn't want to keep the bottle in my truck. So I just kind of tossed it, out the window. And next thing I know, like 10 minutes later, man, I just see this lady pull up beside me and just like take ketchup or whatever it was and just like squirts it at my window. And she stuck a middle finger up and was like, F you, just for getting my car dirty. And I was just like, all right, whatever. You the one that got pee on your car, not me. So whatever.
I'd rather have ketchup on my car than pee.
Yeah, exactly.
That sucks,
my
man.
pee at the time, man, it was sticky.
So if you ever see a trucker throw a bottle of water at you and it's kind of yellow water, try not to hit it with your car. Does that happen a lot? I guess you guys, I mean, you're driving, right? It's your time to drive. You got to drive, right?
Yeah. You gotta drive.
Do you think it's these driving regulations are good for the industry or bad?
I think the regulations are pretty all right.
I mean, you can only go 4 hours and then you have to stop, right?
No. So they changed that. That was actually like last year. So they upped it to now 8 hours. So every 8 hours, you got to take a 30-minute break. And at 11 hours, you have to stop driving. And then at 14 hours, you have to stop working, period. So they changed it. They changed it a little bit to give us a little bit more driving time to where we can kind of make it to certain places and stuff. But, in my opinion, I feel like that's just based on if you're sleepy, because there's been a lot of times where I wouldn't be sleeping. I know I still got at least 5 or 6 more hours to drive in me, but I have to stop, So I think that's where I feel like they should change it to where, like, hey, if you're sleepy, go ahead and stop, but you can drive as long as you can make it and be safe with it. And I think that's what they should change it to. But, that'll never happen, man. We had a lot of cowboy truckers back in the day, so they kind of messed that up for us.
All right. So Vash is kind of hitting up on the discussion we had earlier about flashing lights and blinkers and stuff. He says, question, what are some appreciated etiquette that car drivers can do to help a trucker out? Are there signals truckers use that the average person wouldn't know about?
I know the flashing the headlights and then, tapping on your brake lights a couple of times. Flashing on the headlights, if it's coming in the opposite direction of you, that's letting you know, like, hey, state troopers, cops, or something is going on your way there. That's one. And then, like I said, if they're behind you and they flashing, they letting you know, one, you can get over, or two, something is going on with your truck or your car that, like I said, they can see it, but you can't see it. So they kind of, flashing it, letting you know, like, hey, you might need to pull over and check it out. But, they're not going to actually say exactly what it is. And then the four ways is just letting you know, like, hey, we running into traffic up here, like, slow it down because I'm about to slow down. So you won't, rear end me or whatever the case may be.
All right. Mary Kay wants to know, have you ever had to use the runaway lane?
Oh, hell no. No. I'm a driver, man. I'm a driver. I don't use those.
Says Chuck Bam says, Louisiana has a truck stop with a live tiger. Have you been there?
With a live tiger? Nah. Louisiana is one of those places I do not like to stop in. There's nothing out there for me in Louisiana. So if it is one, I'll have to look it up in this trucker group I'm in to see if anybody knows about it, but I haven't seen it.
All right. I think, I guess it's kind of a personal question here. Pablo Zulaga wants to know, do truckers get hemorrhoids more than other people?
Shit.
I guess there's really, it's not like you guys talk about hemorrhoids all the time, right?
Man, that's a rough one. Nah, I'm gonna say no. I don't get the hemorrhoids. Honestly, I don't even know how you get hemorrhoids, to be honest with you. So I'm gonna say no. I'm just gonna be like, nah, man, I don't think so. Right. But you got a lot of unhealthy truck drivers, though. I'll put that out there. It's a lot of unhealthy guys.
Yeah. Tommy Pierce says, hey, man, I'm your neighbor here from Lexington, Alabama. Love the show.
What's happening, man? How you doing?
All right. So I guess I just got to the bars in front of the rigs. Man, you guys are blowing me up tonight. Distorted Reality wants to know, have you ever jackknifed?
No. Like I said, man, I'm a driver, man. I ain't no rookie. I'm a driver. And
have you ever wrecked or gotten into a wreck at all?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I done got into a couple of wrecks. They was, stupid wrecks, but I done got into some wrecks before. Not in a legit 18-wheeler. Most of my wrecks have been in the tow trucks and stuff. So 18-wheeler wise, no. And I'm knocking on wood on that one.
Yeah.
But tow truck wise, yeah, I think I had like 4 or 5 of them. When I was in tow truck.
So Davy Jones wants to know, what's the longest you've stayed awake driving?
Oh, shoot, 32 hours.
Well, when did you do that? That's not legal.
No, it's not legal at all. I was running with the tow truck company, and that day I drove to Colorado. I left for Colorado on a Tuesday from Birmingham, and by Thursday night, I was back at home in my bed.
There you go.
Yeah.
I went from Colorado Springs once all the way to Nashville, Tennessee in my car straight through. Never stopped.
Yeah,
I was proud of that. I think it was like 20 hours.
Yeah, man. With tow trucks, man, at the time they didn't have e-logs or nothing. So, you figure up your, good little log book. So I had like 3 different log books that I had for different parts of the country, man. Like I said, I left on a Tuesday, and I actually left Tuesday at 3:00 in the afternoon, headed there. Then Wednesday when I made it, my truck froze over. So I had to wait like 3 or 4 hours for it to unfreeze because the truck never been in no weather like that. And then I drove from Wednesday night all the way back to Thursday night, I think at like 11, close to midnight. So technically it might have been Friday, but it was like 11. It was like Thursday night.
Yeah. Kimmy Pollock wants to know, and I guess we've covered this already, do you ever give people rides?
No, no, no. Unless I know you. If I know you, I'll give you a ride. But if you just some random person I never seen before,
All
I'm
right.
not
So
giving you a ride.
if you were going to say Colorado or something, I could call you up and be like, "Hey, man, let me ride with you." You'd be like, "All right,
Yeah, I'll tell you, come on with it, man.
all right."
Come
Well,
on.
I mean
I always,
that could be a fun show. I'll live stream it for everybody, right? Like
yeah, man. All the way there, man.
conflict
But I
out on the
gotta warn
road.
you.
I could stop at all the truck stops and interview people
I gotta
as we
warn
go.
you. I only got one bed.
Well, where are you sleeping?
That's the question, man. Where you sleeping?
All right. Pablo wants to know: is it fun driving through Montana?
Oh hell yeah, man! I went through Montana, man. It's beautiful. First time I ever seen Rams in my life. They was button heads on the side of the highway.
All right. I'm going through the questions here. Let's see here. Vash wants to know self-driving trucks. Why or why not will they work? And what are the unforeseen issues that tech nerds wouldn't know about?
Shoot. Well, they won't work because one, who's going to unload these trucks? You know, when you get to certain place, because you got some local drivers that do, a lot of unloads. So that wouldn't work in that sense because nobody be there to unload them. And then two, just honestly, I think it's just dumb. Tech guys, they don't know nothing about the ins and outs of trucking, man. They can't tell when something's about to break down. So I feel like with that aspect, that'll never work ever, in my opinion. But
Yeah, I've been thinking about these self-driving trucks too. It just seems like, I mean, it seems like it'd be one of the most dangerous things we see out there.
yeah, well, I hear with those, they actually got drivers that sit in the sleeper while it's going, which to me, I'm honestly, I wouldn't even call him a truck driver at that point because you're not doing nothing,
Yeah,
So
well,
it's like,
that's an unskilled position probably that they
yeah,
can put any drive-through worker in that
yeah,
they wouldn't have to pay any money to. That's probably what they're thinking
exactly,
there.
right.
All right, Sapphire Elf wants to know: do hijacking loads happen in the USA truck industry like some places in Europe? Like do people just come up and take an entire trailer?
Now it depends on. Now I've heard a couple of situations like this. That's why they put a lot of GPS trackers on trailers now. But I've heard like you got a lot of guys that are disconnect from their loads at different truck stops and stuff like that, and won't put a kingpin lock on there. And if whoever takes your load thinks it's like worth anything, they'll actually take it and just flat out just disappear with your load and resell it to somebody or something like that. So like what happened to a flatbed driver, he had a load of lumber. I seen him disconnected, and I woke up the next morning, the trailer was gone, the truck was never back there. So I naturally assumed he delivered the load. And it wasn't until I saw it on the news that I was in another truck stop about 100 miles away and saw it on the news that somebody actually stole his load. And I was like, dang, I was just there at that truck stop.
Yeah, that's crazy to think that could happen. Vash wants to know: have you or anyone you know hold military equipment and have any interesting stories to share about it?
Yes, I've hauled Humvees, I've hauled tanks, I've hauled the armor for certain things, and then I've hauled stuff for the Navy, like pieces of I guess the submarines or whatever little boats they got down there. I've heard of people hauling like missiles and stuff like that. But I really don't have too much of a crazy story with the military loads, except it's real spot on. They real militant about everything. They're gonna check your truck out nice and good and clean and make sure you ain't got no bums and all that good stuff. So it's nothing really too good about military loads.
Have you noticed any, I guess within the last 6 months, have you noticed any military equipment moving towards certain directions?
Yeah, mainly I've been noticing them coming out of Jacksonville, North Carolina, Kentucky, and stuff like that, headed back into Anniston, Alabama. Not really sure about what's going on out there, but
They're going south. They're moving south.
yeah. So I've noticed them go there a lot in the last maybe 6 months or so.
All right. Well, there you go, guys. We're moving the stuff down towards the south. Kimmy Pollock says she's outside Corpus Christi. Have you ever come out towards McAllen, Texas?
If McAllen is near, San Antonio and all that area, or even, stuff like that, yeah. So if it's, near Dallas, if it's near Houston, Austin, San Antonio, Laredo, El Paso, places like that, then yeah, I'm sure I came across it.
All right. Sapphire Elf says in Australia, our government seems intent on finding and revenue raising off the truck industry. Do you have a union or workers group that lobbies on your behalf, and do you feel they are effective?
Uh, I don't think we do. I wish we did. If we don't, but if we do, I wish somebody could send me some information so I can kind of get on with that. But for that, for that particular question, I really can't answer it too tough because I don't know if we do or we don't.
Yeah, that's actually a pretty good question. Do you feel like that they pull trucks over and fine trucks a lot just for a revenue stream?
Yeah, I think so. Because sometimes you see certain truckers, man, and you pass them on the highway, you be like, man, why is he pulling them over? Like you can't see nothing visibly wrong with the truck. Because I mean, at that point, getting pulled over is all about visibility. Seeing something that's off on the truck and pulling them over. But a lot of times we see it and we just think to ourselves like they might count, from 1 to 100, and when they make it to 100, that's the guy they pull over type deal. So I kind of look at it.
All right. Pablo wants to know, can you drive with a second person and take turns driving?
Yeah, they call that team driving. You get a lot of the big time companies that do that. So you'll drive 11 hours, they'll drive 11 hours, and they just swap up. Like I said, my buddy, me and him, when we team drove, we that truck did not shut off for 10 days straight. The truck ran for 10 days straight. So you can do it. It's a lot of people doing it a lot more now. A lot of couples, husband and wives, they're doing it a lot more now.
All right. Distorted Reality says, have any cops ever gotten you on the radio to help block in a car that's being chased?
No, they never did.
You ever have a high speed pursuit pass you?
Oh yeah. I was in Dallas, man. Coming through Dallas, this was one of the few times I had my wife and my son with me, and I just hear a scat pack, man. I'm running 76. My truck is governed at 77, so I'm running 76, man. By the time the scat pack comes by me and I realize it was a car that blew past me, he was already over the bridge, and I know he was running at least 170. And then like maybe 5 minutes later, cops was coming by, so he was long gone.
Wow. He was gone, huh?
Yeah, he was out of there. Yeah, it made me want to go buy one right then and there.
All right. So I guess you got a couple minutes, right?
Yeah, I got a couple. Yeah.
All right. So I'm trying to catch up here. Davy Jones wants to know: do you have a badass sound system in your rig?
It's a I guess they call it I don't know the exact brand of the system. It's Bluetooth. But the way my truck is set up, the way I got my APU unit under there, I can't put a system in there. I want to because I got a space above my bed that it might fit perfectly. But I think once I kind of get more in the groove of, getting everything settled and, decking my truck out, man, because I got a lot of things I want to do to it. So I'm going to send a picture in the next few months of how it looks, man, so he can kind of post it up on his page and show everybody how it looks.
All right. Vash wants to know, do you have any good audio books that you recommend?
Honestly, I only recommend one book, and this is my favorite book of all time. It's the S.E. Hinton's The Outsiders. That is the only book I would possibly recommend to anybody. And then you also got I forgot the name of it, but it's a guy named Charlemagne the God. Check his book out. And my wife, she's raving about the Will Smith book that just came out. So them three, I would just go ahead and say, if you can get it on audiobooks, check it out.
All right. Distorted Reality wants to know, have you ever been to Area 51?
Nah. I don't even. And once again, that's one of the places I can't even tell you where it is. It's in Nevada, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, nah, I never been that way.
All right. Double Bass Jaggy wants to know, you ever been to any underground tunnels?
Yeah, that one in Missouri. I forget where it was, but it's that one everybody talks about, man. It's actually like a cave, man. I think it's real crazy how they set that one up to be a.
How far in does it go?
I never went that deep in there, but I've heard guys say it's like at least like a half a mile to a mile, like deep in there. I haven't went that far because I get claustrophobic in places like that, knowing that it can just fall at any moment. So I'm trying to get in and get out of there. It's what I was trying to do.
All right. True Caliber wants to know who makes the best truck.
In my opinion, I'm gonna say Kenworth is number one. Then I'm gonna say Volvo and Mack brands are number 2 and 3, and then I'm gonna say Peterbilt, but it depends on the year and style of the Peterbilt. And then I'm gonna say Freightliners, and then International. That rounds it out.
All right, there you go, guys. Chuck Bam wants to know, why do you not like stopping in Louisiana?
Honestly, it's not other than Bourbon Street. It's not really a place I'm kind of interested in because I went to Bourbon Street a lot when I first got to my adult years. So that's like the only attraction to Louisiana is like Bourbon Street. So, and it's kind of depressing out there. Like I don't really. it's just coming through there. It's real depressing when you get through there. So it's like, nah.
Yeah, Mississippi's the same way for me too.
Yeah, Mississippi. If I hit them 2 states, I'm usually gonna come on home, man. I'm not even gonna stop there.
All right. Vash wants to know, would you ever drive ice routes in Alaska?
For the right price, yeah.
You ever watch that show Ice Road Truckers, right?
Oh man, I love those shows, man. I like the Outback Truckers too, man. But for the right, seeing the numbers that they're getting out there, yeah, I would. I love to try that. No bullshit though.
You gotta be careful if you're driving in the Outback, man. You don't want to get mixed up with a kangaroo, man. Those things they'll box you. They'll F you up.
Yeah, man, all them little dingoes, man. Like them little dingoes, some little like gopher rats, man.
I wonder, would you call them truck stop crocodiles then? I guess the lizard thing. What would it be in Australia? Right?
yeah, man. You call them I'm gonna say dingoes, maybe. Truck stop dingo, a lot dingo.
All right. What's the craziest custom vehicle you've ever seen while trucking, or weird stuff you see in the backs of people's cars?
Weird stuff, oddly or not. I was coming from Toledo, Michigan on my way home this week, and I saw a guy in a Silverado, and he had a deer in the bed of his truck, and then he had a deer in the back seat of his truck, and he had a hog in the front seat of his truck, and they were all dead. So that was, yeah.
Damn, he had a good day hunting. I don't know if I'd put him up in the truck with me. I'd probably have thrown them all in the back.
Yeah, exactly.
He's worried about
man.
cross-contamination, I guess.
Nah, I swear, man, that had to be a stinky ride, though.
Yeah, True Caliber says, what's the craziest thing you've seen going on in another car?
Oh, man, I seen a girl bobbing for apples in the driver's seat. That's the best way I can put it.
All right. Yeah, that's one way of putting it, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Bash wants to know, if you're planning to travel around the country, what kind of two-way radio setup should people have?
If you're in a car, I'm just going to say, shoot. I don't even know. 'Cause I think, with truckers, we got the CBs and stuff. So, I mean, I've seen guys put CBs in their cars and stuff like that. So, I guess, that'll be the best and most reliable and effective one because it runs out, I think, antenna feeds and stuff. So, I think that'll be the best one, I think.
All right. And Oakland Raider Trucker says that the Springfield, Missouri tunnels is pretty deep. He says he's been there.
Oh, okay, cool.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, awesome. Well, I guess we're gonna wrap it up, man. We did it. It's over.
Oh man, that was a good time though. It was a good time.
Man, they blew us up with all kinds of questions, and they had some good stuff.
Yeah, man, some great stuff, man.
All right,
definitely could do a part 2.
So, do you have anything you want to plug or anything you want to send people to?
My Facebook page, it is TDC Logistics LLC. Y'all you can like it, share it, do the good stuff to kind of help support a business coming off the ground. And just honestly, in the next couple of years, just be on the lookout. People going to be saying that TDC Logistics name with like some of the big time people. Not Swift though. They're not going to be saying it with Swift, but they're going to be saying it with other people.
All right. So I'll get that link in the description box below. I don't think I have it down there right now, but I will put it down there for everybody listening. Hang on a second, Tacorys, and I'll chat with you a little bit just as soon as I wrap things up here. Hey, happy Thanksgiving, everybody. Happy Thanksgiving, Tacorys, to you, your family, man. I hope you have a good one. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there.
Thank you, man. Likewise. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody out there.
All right. I saw a question on there. If anybody was cooking, I'm going to be cooking. I guess when the show's over here, we got a whole spread getting ready to go on here. So if anybody's bored and in Huntsville, Alabama, send me a message and maybe I'll invite you over for some Thanksgiving dinner. All right, everybody. Remember, you can always find us online. Just go to www.conflictradio.net. You can find us on Spreaker, Apple iTunes, and all of your normal podcast catchers. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And remember, until next time, we'll be back on Monday. And until then, batten down the hatches and be safe.